And here's the thing, guys, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to the people in your life. You're lying to your family, your spouse, your children, and probably the people you work with. You're lying, but most importantly, you're lying to the person in the mirror. You're lying to you because you know that you have an issue with alcohol, okay? But you're not ready to admit it to yourself. You rationalize. You use terms like, well, I'm a functioning alcoholic, if you're even able to admit that at all. So I can hold a job, I can maintain, I pay my bills, I do somewhat provide for my family or to myself if that's where it's gone. And here's the thing, these terms are not real. These are not real terms. Functioning alcoholic is not a real term. Someone who suffers from alcohol use disorder suffers from alcohol use disorder. Now, whether the fact that they hold a job or can pay their bills to some extent is irrelevant. They still have this disease known as alcohol use disorder. It's a mental disorder. It's a mental disability. And these titles that people give themselves is nothing more than denial and a rationalization of the reality of their situation. This is a progressive disease. If nothing happens, nothing changes, and you focus on your rationalization of, I don't really have a big problem, well, you're doomed. I'm telling you, you're doomed. And you're on a path and a road of destruction for yourself and the loved ones in your life. In reality, the only people that are going to have a problem with what I just said are the people that have a problem. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, I have people, I've had clients, even my wife. Oh, I just had a physical. My liver was fine. There's no signs of cirrhosis. So I guess everything is great. Here's the thing. Alcohol doesn't just affect cirrhosis. In fact, people who die from alcohol use disorder, it's a very small percentage that actually die from liver cirrhosis. It's not a big amount. Most people die from falling down. They die from heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, cancer, cirrhosis, pancreatic issues, pancreatitis, for example, kidney failure, esophageal issues, intestinal issues. Most people fall down. Their brain has problems. Wernicke-Korsakoff. Your brain actually atrophies by drinking alcohol. It atrophies. Nobody tells you that. They don't tell you that on the label on the outside of your beer can or your whiskey bottle or your wine bottle. They don't tell you that. And that's the reality of what alcohol does. So rationalize your life away. My health is fine. No, it's not. Because they can't detect everything that alcohol does unless you're going, unless you get an MRI or something a lot more intrusive, a lot more specific if something is happening. Unfortunately, the damage is usually done far too extensively before it's able to be picked up by x-rays and other testing, which is unfortunate. People use that rationalization. And even if they do find something wrong, they still have the ability to rationalize. Again, my coaching program, click on the link above, set up a breakthrough call. It's the first link in the link tree on my page. It takes about 45 minutes. We're going to do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. It's really designed for certainly the person suffering from AUD. I like to bring family members in as well. Now, the call is free, but the course is definitely not. And I'm looking for people who want to change their life, commit to a process, and change their life and the life of their family. Set up a call. Again, this is the first time seeing me. Again, I was married for 25 years, and my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder a little over 5.5 years ago. And she used to use the same kind of rationalization, as do many of my clients. And the first thing you have to do when you become a client of mine is to admit that you have a problem. It's not to me, it's to yourself. And you have to be, you really have to be transparent. And the more ability that you have for transparency, the better chance you have for growth and awareness and to replace the habit of alcohol with other better and more purposeful habits. And that's what we do in my coaching program. Here's the thing. My wife used to go, I remember her coming back from the doctor's office. And, my liver's, it's a little bit raised. It's a little bit high. Okay, anything else? Well, I don't want to tell you some of the other stuff. I remember having those conversations. Well, you mean the other stuff? Like you had a gastric bypass surgery and you're still drinking alcohol, which really multiplies your alcohol intake and the effect on your body by a factor of 4. I mean, I knew there's things going on with your brain that just weren't working. And unfortunately, if you have the consistency of alcohol intake, your body never has a chance to repair itself. Your mind never has a chance to regenerate itself. The cell, right down to the cellular damage. If you can never repair yourself, eventually you'll have permanent damage. People don't understand that. If you never break from alcohol and you have a consistency for decades, years, weeks, months, decades, and on, you're in deep, deep doo-doo. And the people in your life, well, this is information that they need to know as well as you do. I'm really at the point where I almost find it amusing. So many people have a problem with me telling the truth or telling stories about my wife in intimate details. In fact, here I have her biography, her memoir. And there's very important details in that because unless you tell the truth, it helps no one. In fact, that's what they do in group therapy meetings, AA, Smart Recovery, Women for Sobriety, LifeRing, local counseling and outpatient groups. Someone gets up on stage and tells their story, okay? They expose themselves. That's how you grow. And if you're not able to do that, well then there's only 2 choices. You're going to continue the path of alcohol use disorder or you're going to work on yourself. Those are the 2 choices. And you shouldn't be doing it by yourself. You need to have a counselor. You need to be around other people who are on the same journey you are. And there's medications that can help you with the blockers. But you have to retrain your brain. And ultimately, you need to find purpose where maybe the alcohol was filling that void of the purpose that you may have once had, or the trauma, or the stress, or the anxiety, or maybe the dual mental issues. And there's plenty of them. There's lots of reasons why people drink. But you have to focus on why you're drinking to begin with. Because alcohol is nothing more than the solution to that person's problem, but all it does is create further and more dreadful problems with your body and your mind. Understand that. Understand that's the message. And you got to tell the truth to the person in the mirror. Again, of course, if you haven't picked up a copy, Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. Again, it's in the link tree. You can get the international link. We've sold this in over 16 different countries. It's a bestseller on Amazon as well. You can also find it on on the page. You can go right to my website, and there's a PayPal button there. The ebook is also available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the Apple website. Thanks for listening.